Hey dreamers, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am here to do my February favorites. So I'm excited to be doing this, getting this done. That means February is complete in my creative journal and I can move on to March. I've already written down a few things that I need to gather my materials for and get printed and everything like that so I can start in my March entries. Not sure if I'm going to do it the same way that I did February, where it's just one big video for all of the days that I get down, or if I'm going to break it up into 2 or 3 parts. I'm not sure, but we'll see how it goes. So first of all, I wanted to get down some watercolor. I'm using both the Amy Tangerine Brave and Bold, I believe it's called, and the Jane Davenport Brights colored watercolor sets. I do believe that's the Jane Davenport one. It's called Brights. Let me just check just to be sure. Yep, I'm right. I got the right one. Anyway, I wanted to put down watercolor first because I had just recently done my A Journey into A6 and was saying how with Tomoe River paper, what I really loved about it was how well it takes watercolor and how beautiful it is. And so I was like, and I haven't really done that in this journal so far, so I was like, yeah, let's do that. And so I wanted to put that down. Now as you can see, I completely messed up February. I started doing the URE part again instead of just adding the Y. I don't know what I was thinking as I was doing this, as you can see there. So of course I had to cover it up. I'm glad I filmed this on camera. My hair is all in the way there. Just so you all can see how you can easily cover things up. I'm very doubt that I'll end up getting to the very back of this anyway, because these Hobonichi notebooks, as you use them, tend to grow really nice and thick and chunky, and so by the time it gets to the very back of the book, it'll probably be difficult for me to even work in anymore, and I will have moved on to another journal anyway. So anyway, I had to cover that up and then begin with my stencil again, which I am really loving this stencil. I'm glad I had it. I had bought the file like a while ago, and I'm glad I finally actually just printed it out and made it, because I've had the number stencil printed out for a while now. I use that regularly, and I was like, you need to print this alpha stencil out now too. So anyway, I'm getting my the shows and movies that I want to highlight. I just did it with an image actually from the show or movie. And so the first one is King Arthur Legend of the Sword. I just opt for Legend of the Sword because it's a long enough title as is. And so I am using the alpha stickers from the Simple Stories Brights pack. It's like Color Vibe Brights. If I can find a link for it, it will be below in the description box, as will anything that I use in the making of the spread, if I can find the link, so you can check there. I do know sometimes I find this on Amazon and sometimes I can't. I do believe scrapbook.com keeps them in stock pretty regularly, and also Lail by Mail, and Simple Stories has a great selection of alpha stickers. So not just the Brights pack, they have other packs of this as well, so you can check those out if you are looking for them. And so I decided stuff like this is just not sticky enough for me, so I did go back through and I am using my glue stick to get them down on the page, and hopefully they will not come up and will stick there and will be ready for the archives when I'm ready to put this away. Anyway, I'm moving on to the next show that was one of my faves for this month, which I think this will be a fave for a lot of months, because I am completely, until I have drank the Kool-Aid, I am obsessed with this show. And so yeah, watch the live action One Piece again. I'm not sure if this was, well, I watched it twice again in February. Once I just wanted to re-binge it for myself, and then one time me and my sister decided to do a watch party of it, and so we would get together on certain days and certain times and just watch the same episodes at the same times and text back and forth and stuff like that, and I love that. And I actually recently just completed that, doing the same thing with a couple of my best friends from college, and that was such a blast, because we usually watch stuff like Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon and stuff like that together. And so I have been wanting them to see this show, and I was like, y'all need to watch this with me. We need to figure out a day and time that works for everybody so we can watch this. And they was like, okay, yeah, we're game. And it was a slow burn for them. Like they was like, they liked the first episode, and then it progressively got better for them, and to the point where they ended up getting excited. And it was like, okay, I need to watch. I need to know what happens. I need to go now. And so we ended up watching the last two episodes earlier than our scheduled time, because they were insisting on knowing what happened. And yeah, so they really liked it, and they thanked me for showing them their show, which happens a lot with them, with my friends. Like, I'll say something about a show or whatever and suggest it to them, and they end up loving the show. So like, I put my friend on Spartacus, Game of Thrones, which was fantastic until the very last season. I'm so still upset about that last season or whatever, and some other things as well. But that was me and my other friend. We watch Outlander together, so it's kind of a thing, especially since we don't really get to see each other a lot. They're at least 2 hours away from me, so it's not like I visit them a lot or vice versa. So we contact each other through phone and stuff like that to keep up with each other. Anyway, after I've done that, I completely got my watch list done. So that last highlighted was Dead Reckoning. It was the latest Mission Impossible movie, and me and my mom like to watch those. She was obsessed with the Mission Impossible show from back in her day, and so she loves the movies, and I ended up catching up on the movies not too long ago. I watched all of them, and so like the last 2 or 3 I've watched with her, and that's like a whole thing. So that was fun. So what I've been doing is like that watch list, I just wrote it down on some cardstock and kind of made a little tiny speech bubble with it. Again, I got this idea from Nick LOLE Plans. I will link her below or whatever. So it's a weird name, so I'll link her below in case anyone is interested. And then I wrote down my complete watch list for the month of February, which surprisingly was not a lot of stuff. Excuse me. Anyway, I'm moving on to the songs that I had basically on repeat for this month. Bloom by Akila came out, loved it, and so I would definitely excuse me, frog in my throat. So I definitely wanted to get that recorded and down, and I love the lyrics. So that's what I do when I am doing my February faves. Any music that I'm listening to on repeat, I do get it down here, and then I write some of the lyrics out that I really love. The chorus of that song Bloom is just chef's kiss. Love it so much. And then I was also listening to this song by Jonas Brothers called I Believe. I believe that the song is probably a little bit older. I think it's from one of their previous albums, and not even the one that's been released most recently, which was probably last summer-ish, I think. So yeah, but it came up on one of my Spotify playlists, and I was like, I like this song. Let's hear it again. And so I heard it again very, very much, several times. And so yeah, I'm sure, these two topped my list in my Receiptify for the month of February. So definitely had to get that down. Again, getting some lyrics down from I Believe here, and this is the part where once I'm doing my lyrics, I usually like to write those in my Tambo Funosuke, the hard tip one. I go back and forth between the hard tip and the soft tip, but when I'm doing this, it's usually the hard tip that I use because I feel like it's easier to control, and it's a little less thick when you're trying to do that, but it's still, for me, it still makes it seem a little more fancy. Now, fancy is the wrong word, but I am not going to sit here and try to come up with the correct word that I am thinking of. So once I get all of the lyrics down from there, I go in to do my books read for the month. Again, highlighting my favorites, which were both 5-star reads for me, and I will maybe link up above my February spreads as far as the books that I read in case anybody is interested in that, and you can just check that out. And speaking of which, I'm thinking of, I need to edit my February, no, not my February, my March stats, as far as the books and stuff that I read. But anyway, getting those down, and then again with the cardstock, and as you can see, I'm just making titles of the major stuff going on this spread here, and then I'm getting my entire book list down that I read for the month, which I do believe happened to be 6 books in February. It was 7 in January, if I'm not mistaken, and I got seven down in April. No, I'm skipping March. 7 in March. So yeah. Anyway, to fill in some of the spaces and gaps, I went back in with a bag. Okay, so in my previous video, or like all of my spreads for February, on the 14th, well, that whole entire spread, I used, my mom had got me some stuff on Valentine's Day. She put it in this cute little bag, and I decided I wanted to, instead of just throwing the bag away, make use of it in my journal. And so that's what I did, and it had like these little hearts, so I fussy cut out a lot of these different hearts. I still had some, so I decided to go and use it on this spread as well, and just use it as filler. And I love the way that it looks. I pulled out a few stamps to do that as well, and I'm using that Pretty Petunia from First of Magic. That's the kind that I use to stamp in my Hobonichi, because the paper is so thin and it will bleed through if you use like a regular one. So I do use the chalk ink. You just have to be sure not to smear it after you've used it. Let it dry. It doesn't take that long, so yeah. And then I filled the top part in with a Posca paint pen, which I love those, and I'm going back over with the stencil to make it pop off the page, and that pretty much wraps this up. If you have any comments or questions about anything, please leave those below. I trust that you all have been safe and well. If you enjoy this content, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!